The story of Iran is one of the oldest continuous stories in human civilization. Long before the modern nation called Iran existed, this land was known to the world as Persia, a crossroads of empires, religions, and cultures that shaped the history of the Middle East, Central Asia, and even Europe. For more than 2,500 years, Iran has witnessed the rise and fall of mighty empires, invasions by foreign conquerors, revolutions by its own people, and transformations that reshaped the identity of an entire nation. Our story begins thousands of years ago on the Iranian plateau, a vast region stretching between Mesopotamia, Central Asia, and the Indian subcontinent. Ancient civilizations such as Elam thrived here as early as 3000 BC. These early societies built cities, developed writing systems, and traded with neighboring civilizations like Sumer and Babylon. But the real transformation of the region began when Indo-Iranian tribes migrated into the plateau around the 2nd millennium BC. These tribes brought with them languages that would eventually evolve into Persian and other Iranian languages. Among these tribes were the Medes and the Persians. The Medes formed one of the first large kingdoms in the region during the 7th century BC, establishing a powerful state that stretched across western Iran. Yet it was their allies, the Persians, who would soon eclipse them and build one of the greatest empires the world had ever seen. In 550 BC, a Persian leader named Cyrus II, later known as Cyrus the Great, rebelled against the Median king and seized power. This moment marked the birth of the Achaemenid Empire, the first great Persian empire. Cyrus proved to be not only a brilliant military commander, but also a visionary ruler. Within a few decades, he conquered vast territories including Lydia in Anatolia and Babylon in Mesopotamia, creating an empire that stretched from the Mediterranean Sea to Central Asia. What made Cyrus remarkable was not just his conquests, but his approach to governance. Unlike many ancient conquerors, he allowed the people he ruled to maintain their religions and traditions. The famous Cyrus cylinder, discovered in Babylon, is often described as one of the earliest declarations of human rights. Under Cyrus, the Persian Empire became a diverse and relatively tolerant state. After Cyrus's death, his successors expanded the empire even further. One of the greatest among them was Darius I, who ruled from 522 to 486 BC. Darius reorganized the empire into provinces called satrapies, built an extensive road network known as the Royal Road, and developed a sophisticated administrative system. Under his rule, the Persian Empire became one of the most efficient and powerful states of the ancient world. Yet Persia's rise inevitably brought it into conflict with the Greek city-states to the west. These clashes became known as the Greco-Persian Wars. Persian armies marched into Greece in massive campaigns, famously facing resistance at battles such as Marathon, Thermopylae, and Salamis. Although the Persians suffered defeats in Greece, the empire itself remained strong and continued to dominate much of the ancient world for more than a century. The Achaemenid Empire finally met its end in 330 BC when a young Macedonian king named Alexander the Great invaded Persia. Alexander's army swept across the empire, defeating the Persian king Darius III and capturing the imperial capitals. Within a few years, the once mighty empire of Cyrus the Great had collapsed. After Alexander's death, his generals divided his vast empire among themselves. Persia fell under the control of the Seleucid Empire, a Hellenistic kingdom ruled by one of Alexander's former commanders. Greek culture spread across the region, cities were founded in the Greek style, and the Persian world entered a new era of cultural blending. However, Greek control of Persia did not last forever. Around the 3rd century BC, a new power emerged from the eastern Iranian lands, the Parthians. Skilled horsemen and fierce warriors, the Parthians gradually expelled the Seleucids and established a new Iranian empire. The Parthian Empire became a formidable rival to Rome, dominating trade routes such as the Silk Road and controlling territories stretching from Mesopotamia to Central Asia. Parthian rule lasted nearly 5 centuries, yet by the early 3rd century AD, internal struggles weakened the empire. A new Persian dynasty then rose to power, determined to revive the glory of ancient Persia. This was the Sasanian Empire. Founded in 224 AD by Ardashir I, the Sasanian Empire became one of the most powerful states of late antiquity. It re-established a strong centralized government and promoted Zoroastrianism as the state religion. The Sasanians saw themselves as heirs to the legacy of Cyrus and Darius, and they rebuilt the prestige of Persian civilization. The Sasanian Empire became Rome's greatest rival in the East. For centuries, the two superpowers fought brutal wars along their shared frontier. Massive battles, shifting alliances, and political intrigue defined this long struggle between Persia and Rome. During this time, Persian culture flourished. Art, architecture, literature, and philosophy reached new heights, and Persian influence spread far beyond the empire's borders into Europe, India, and China. But the endless wars with the Byzantine Empire drained the Sasanian state. At the same time, a new force was emerging in the Arabian Peninsula: Islam. In the 7th century, Arab Muslim armies surged out of Arabia and launched a series of rapid conquests. Within a few decades, the Sasanian Empire collapsed under the pressure of these invasions. By 651 AD, the last Sasanian king had been killed, and Persia became part of the rapidly expanding Islamic world. The Arab conquest transformed Iran in profound ways. Over time, the population gradually adopted Islam, though Persian language and cultural traditions survived. In fact, Persian scholars, poets, and administrators played a crucial role in shaping the Islamic civilization that spread across the Middle East and Central Asia. During the early centuries of Islamic rule, Iran was governed by various caliphates, including the Umayyads and Abbasids. Yet Persian culture never disappeared. Instead, it experienced a remarkable revival. Beginning in the 9th century, several Persian dynasties emerged that governed parts of Iran while still recognizing the authority of the Abbasid Caliph. This period is sometimes called the Iranian Intermezzo. Dynasties such as the Samanids and Buyids revived Persian language and literature. The great epic poem Shahnameh, written by the poet Ferdowsi around the year 1000, preserved the legends and history of ancient Persia. However, Iran's political landscape remained fragmented for centuries. Turkic dynasties like the Seljuks rose to power, followed by the devastating Mongol invasions of the 13th century. The Mongols destroyed cities, disrupted trade routes, and caused immense destruction across the Iranian plateau. Yet once again, Persian culture proved resilient. Even the Mongol rulers eventually adopted Persian administrative traditions and supported Persian art and literature. By the early 16th century, a new dynasty emerged that would once again unite Iran and reshape its identity forever. This was the Safavid dynasty. In 1501, Shah Ismail I conquered much of Iran and declared himself the ruler of a new Persian state. The Safavids made a decision that would define Iran for centuries. They declared Twelver Shia Islam to be the official religion of the state. This religious transformation set Iran apart from its Sunni neighbors, particularly the Ottoman Empire. The rivalry between the Safavids and Ottomans became one of the defining conflicts of the early modern Middle East. Under rulers such as Shah Abbas the Great, the Safavid Empire reached its peak. Magnificent cities like Isfahan were built with grand mosques, palaces, and gardens. Trade flourished along the Silk Road, and Persian art and architecture became famous throughout the world. But by the early 18th century, the Safavid state had grown weak. Internal corruption and external invasions led to its collapse. In 1736, a brilliant military commander named Nader Shah seized power and founded the Afsharid dynasty. Nader Shah became one of the greatest conquerors in Iranian history. His armies invaded India and captured the Mughal capital of Delhi, bringing back enormous wealth to Persia. Yet his empire proved short-lived. After his assassination in 1747, the country once again descended into chaos. Eventually, a new dynasty known as the Qajars emerged in the late 18th century. The Qajar rulers struggled to maintain Iran's independence as European powers expanded their influence in the region. During the 19th century, Iran lost significant territories in the Caucasus to the Russian Empire and faced increasing interference from Britain. Growing dissatisfaction with the monarchy eventually led to a major political movement. In 1905, the Persian constitutional revolution erupted. This revolution forced the Qajar Shah to accept a constitution and establish a parliament, marking one of the first constitutional movements in the Islamic world. Yet political instability continued into the early 20th century. In 1925, a military officer named Reza Khan seized power and founded the Pahlavi dynasty. He took the name Reza Shah and launched a program of modernization aimed at transforming Iran into a strong, centralized nation. Reza Shah built railways, expanded education, and attempted to reduce the power of religious institutions. However, during World War II, Britain and the Soviet Union invaded Iran and forced him to abdicate. His son, Mohammad Reza Shah, became the new ruler. The young Shah ruled Iran for decades, pursuing rapid modernization and economic development. Oil revenues fueled industrial growth, and Iran became an important ally of the United States during the Cold War. But many Iranians resented the Shah's authoritarian rule, corruption, and close ties with Western powers. These tensions exploded in 1979 when a massive revolution overthrew the monarchy. Led by the exiled cleric Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini, the Iranian Revolution transformed the country into an Islamic Republic. The new government combined elements of republican democracy with religious authority, creating a unique political system. Soon after the revolution, Iran was plunged into another major conflict, the Iran-Iraq War. Beginning in 1980, Iraqi leader Saddam Hussein invaded Iran, triggering an 8-year war that killed hundreds of thousands of people. Despite immense losses, Iran survived the conflict and emerged determined to assert its independence and influence in the region. Today, Iran remains one of the most historically significant nations in the world. From the empire of Cyrus the Great to the Islamic Republic of the modern era, the story of Iran spans more than 2,500 years of human history. It is a story of empires and revolutions, of conquest and survival, and above all, of a civilization that has endured through countless transformations while preserving its unique identity. And perhaps that is the most remarkable thing about Iran's history. Empires have risen and fallen, religions have changed, dynasties have collapsed, but the Persian civilization, with its language, culture, and traditions, has continued to live on. Across millennia of war, conquest, and revolution, Iran has remained not just a country, but one of the oldest living civilizations on Earth.